Hello, Happy New Year. Obviously I know it's March. It's not particularly the New Year anymore, but I haven't posted in a long time, like a long form video, and I guess, this is my first more long form video of the year, so just want to say hi, Happy New Year, hope everybody's okay. Happy belated birthdays to anybody if their birthdays have passed. Mine did too, as well. So, another year here and coming. I almost said down the drain. But, another year starting and seeing what it's going to be like for me. And also happy birthdays to people whose birthdays are coming up, and hopefully you're celebrating it in a wonderful way or doing something interesting, or if you're not, it's okay. We all are in different places in life and going through different experiences, and I think that's kind of why I wanted to come on here and make a long form video. Again, I know it's been a while, but in most of my videos I think I preface that essentially I'm not really posting for any reason other than the fact that I just feel kind of like called to do it, as I say. As somebody who spent the majority of their life wanting to be a singer and musician, and now kind of like in a transitional period with that, where I've taken a pretty long break with music and not really focusing on that and trying to like engage my voice and my expression in other ways. This was just one of the ways that I feel called to expressing myself, when I have something to share, when I have something to say. And I guess that's really the reason as to why I post long form stuff here and there, and why I share some stuff. I just wanted to preface that because I really, there's no real I don't want to say point, because there's just, not to get like existential, but there's no point to really anything that we do in the world, right? We give it meaning, and the meaning here for me is partly that expression, right, of knowing my voice is something in me that's important, that I'm meant to use and I'm meant to express with others in a positive way, a helpful way, I would even say maybe healing way, if that's the case. Obviously it's not healing for everybody. Obviously not everyone will like my voice, or not everyone will like what I have to say or agree or go through what I express or explain, or like the way that I express myself, or but I still feel called to do it. And so these videos will come out when I feel that urge and when I think it's important. And right now I'm just feeling drawn to speaking a bit. So I think too, when I was in a really, really negative place, or just for anybody who might be in a really negative place and space, we always wish that we had somebody who could kind of voice out our thoughts better than us, who could kind of read our minds, I think, and sort of like intuit and care for us in ways that maybe we don't have the courage or the confidence or even know how to like care for us. And I think also too, part of why I start filming these videos and start talking and sharing things that are on my mind, or what I feel like it's important to say or important to share, is also because of that, of thinking like, there might be somebody out there who stumbles across a video. I don't expect a subscriber, I don't expect a comment, I don't expect people to interact with me at all. I could stay on this tiny little well of the internet with no interactions, no nothing, and nobody saying anything, and that would be okay with me. I just think that, like, as long as whatever I say resonates with the right people and reaches the right people, I think that is, maybe that's the goal, maybe that's the point. So anywho, that was a really long beginning, and I'm a bit of a rambler, so short story long. A theme that I've really been noticing lately is this difficulty with bridging the gap, right, between being and doing, between who you are and who you were and who you're going into, right, who you're becoming. and, you know, the struggles that a lot of us face, especially in this world, this really rapidly changing world. You know, we have so many things at our fingertips. We have so much information and misinformation, and we have so many things available to us, and it can be really daunting and confusing. You know, even me adding a voice to this huge like stratosphere of people telling you what to do, what to say, how to feel, what to think, how to express that, how not to express that, you know, what makes you a good person, what makes you a bad person, what's toxic, what's not, what's abusive, what's not, what's negative, what's positive, what's good, what's bad, what's, you know, even going further, what's spiritual, what's God, what's religion, what's politics, what's this or that, you know, and trying to constantly, you know, there's just so many options, right? There's so many identities, there's so many agendas, there's so many things and narratives and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and words and fucking words out there, especially now. It's just a lot. It's just a fucking lot, you know? And I think something me personally, right, I've been thinking about so much lately is just that, it's that gap, it's that bridge of, you know, you're told, well, you got to let go of your past so that you can be present, right? And a lot of that, a big portion of that is to try and focus in the now, right? To be aware of your surroundings, to allow for life to unfold, and to control what you can't control and not worry too much about what you can't control, you know? But at the same time, you can't focus too hard into the future. You know, it can be not very productive to maybe have a 5-year plan or even a year plan, or to make too concrete goals, or to do too much, or be too productive, or to do this or to do that, because then you're getting ahead of yourself, then you're overwhelming yourself, you have this like anticipatory anxiety, you're kind of confused, and it's sort of like, where do we fit, where do we go, what do we do, what do we don't do, you know? It's just been really hard for me lately, feeling like if I sit and I allow things to unfold and I let life be what it is, that's fine. But then if I'm busy, if I'm engaging more in that physical aspect of life and doing things and trying to plan certain goals out and certain stuff for my future and things that I kind of want to do that are in my control, you know, that's fine too. And yet neither of them really feel right. You know, it's something that I've been kind of talking to with a lot of people, where a lot of people that I know are going through really big transformations during this period of time. I think that there's like just a lot of people becoming aware of themselves and life as we know it, and the different experiences that we've had, and how to sort of like alchemize them, right? How to sort of like transform them into learning lessons and things that we can take, you know, to not only help ourselves, but to help others, and to be kinder and more compassionate towards ourselves and towards others. And I just wish I knew like how to bridge the gap. You know, it's like there's so many books, there's so many novels, especially if you look at it from like a spiritual perspective, right? It's like they always say to bridge the gap has to be present. You know, you have to be present. It has to be in the present. But people aren't always present. I think that's also a natural thing of life, a natural thing of being alive and being human. And, you know, at least for me, sometimes I think I feel that guilt, I feel that confusion. I'm constantly wondering why, you know, I don't always get an answer. And for a long time, I think I focused on the answer, and now I'm just sort of grateful that I can just keep asking questions and wondering, you know. It just becomes that sort of thing, that sort of confusion, that sort of, you know, what actually is living, I think is what a lot of people may be like going through right now, or at least, you know, maybe I'm projecting. If I'm projecting, then sorry, you don't have to watch this. But, you know, what really is living? How do we describe what it's like to be alive in that sense? You know what I mean? Because I remember last year I had a period of time in which I was feeling really disconnected from myself, and that really scared me. It scared me a lot because I hadn't been that way since I was much younger, maybe a decade, where I felt like I was moving on autopilot, and that was really scary and really jarring for me. And I think anytime I get into a period or point in my life where I feel like I'm almost like zombified, right, and I'm moving in autopilot and I'm not really registering what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, I think is when I feel like the most like the living dead, you know, the Walking Dead, and feeling confused about things. Because, you know, for example, when you're doing goals or you have certain routines or hobbies or things, a lot of the time those things can be on autopilot, right? We can do that and have that discipline, right? And for me personally, I struggle so much to be disciplined, and that's been another thing that's been sort of on my mind. Like, how much of discipline is actually limiting versus how much of it is actually helpful, right? It's conducive to goals or what I want to do in this physical life and this physical experience. And I think it's just been difficult to understand. I think it's been difficult, you know, sort of difficult to grasp. And, you know, when I think about it in terms of, you know, it seems more simple than it is. Maybe that's part of being human, is like overcomplicating it and thinking too much about it and wondering too much about it. And not, maybe, you know, maybe I'm not as accepting of the ups and downs as I had hoped I would be after all this time of learning and growing. But I do know what it's like, you know, to feel disconnected, to feel like I'm not alive. I'm just in this motion, in this cycle, in this routine that you just feel stagnant. But then at the same time, too, it's like when I allow myself to be fully present, right? I take every day as it comes. Every single day I wake up, I don't know what to expect all the time. I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know who I'm going to interact with, what I'm really going to do, how to go about my day. It's like, I didn't know I was going to film this video today. It just felt right. You know, and those things are fun, and I tend to usually jump onto those things, right? I jump into that moment. I jump into whatever it is. And even this now, it's like I have videos years ago on YouTube where I was trying to make videos just to have fun because it was COVID, and I tried editing them, and no matter how hard I tried, no matter how hard I was trying to learn, I'm not the most tech savvy, and you can plainly see the edits or the trying to add like comedic things or whatever it is. It was just awful. It was awful. Timing is off. It's not great. I didn't do a great job. I really tried to learn, months and months of time watching things that just didn't click for me, right? And so it's like, even these videos now, I didn't know I was going to film them. They go on completely unedited. I don't add anything. You know, you see me pause, you see me stumble over my words, you see me go from point to point and try to bring it all together. You see me rambling and doing stuff like that, you know. But I find too sometimes when I go in this way of allowing things to happen and living my life in that degree, and just sort of controlling, in the sense, like allowing myself to be open to things too, there can also be a level of stagnancy, right? Of feeling kind of stuck, of wondering why your life is not really moving. You know, I kind of feel that way sometimes. And I don't know if maybe it's because of that expectation. I think more than anything now, I've seen so many things and signs and stuff of people, and maybe it could also be my age as well, because I'm 28, close to that Saturn return, right, where you think about the realities of life and society and all that shit, and thinking about, you know, where I fit into this world, even if I'm not always, you know, it doesn't always match who I am. It's never really I don't think I've ever really fit in that sense. I think I can fit in everywhere in the broad sense of there's always a space for me wherever I go, because if I wasn't meant to be there, I wouldn't be there, you know? So, like, that's kind of how I've changed my concept and perception of fitting into places, right? If I'm somewhere that I'm meant to be there, then I fit in, because there's a space for me, right? But, like, just in the more, like, Merriam-Webster version of the term, I don't really fit in anywhere, and I've never really fit in society in that sense. And, you know, it's like I I just keep going. I keep thinking, I keep moving, and I just see so many people nowadays, my age, older than me, younger than me, going through this break of trying to understand how do we function as humans, and how do we function as everything else? How do we bridge all of these gaps to who we really are and who we feel like we're supposed to be, or who we feel like society is asking us to be, or the people around us, our loved ones, our friends, our partners, our this or that, our pets even, how do we bridge that gap? How do we live life, and feeling like we're living, and feeling like we're fucking feeling what it is, and not being stuck on that autopilot mode, and I don't know, lately both have just felt like stagnant. Both have felt like this cyclic sort of thing. Both have felt like, it doesn't matter if you're stuck in the past or you're moving towards the present. They both feel like you're in the same place. You're almost marching in place, And it's hard. And maybe it's more so, maybe that is truly a resistance to the now. Maybe there's a part of me that is still resisting the now. But I'm in the now right now, talking about this, doing this in an unplanned sort of way and style, and trying to be present, trying to discuss these things, trying to allow for the stream of thought and consciousness to go through, and I think that's also too, when language sort of fails us, it's like there's not really too many words to describe these feelings, like the nuance to it, the complexity of what it's like, I think, to be in the journey and on our own paths, Oh my God, I didn't expect myself to get a bit teary-eyed. But, I just think it's confusing. All of it's confusing. Life is confusing, and I wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't so confusing. I wish there was more clarity in things. I wish I didn't have to figure it all out. Maybe I don't, and I'm just, placing that responsibility onto myself. Maybe I'm uncomfortable with the unknown. Oh, I suppose that's not a maybe. I know that I can get uncomfortable with the unknown, with that gap, right? And the gap is most of life, I think. And, I think the older I get, the more it's like, what am I, what's right, And I try to feel that out for myself every single day. Like, what's right for me? What's right for my life? What's right for this life? What feels right? What is right? And I just don't know right now. I don't know. I find it confusing. I find it strange. I find it daunting, scary, even. But at the same time, it's kind of exciting because, life, there's so much life ahead of me. So much life ahead of all of us. So much that we could be doing and living and being and experiencing. And I think maybe that's the hardest part about bridging the gap is, trying to accept that gap. Maybe it's trying to accept that it's just going to go up and down and in between, and it's never going to be one specific thing. I think sometimes too, at least from my experience now and talking to others and talking to friends and all sorts of people, it's just, we get so set on that black and white and trying to understand like point A and point B, and then there's just this huge gap in between the beginning and the destination, and trying to grasp so hard on anything that feels more stable and secure and sort of answer your momentary questions. And it's just that gap. Maybe, maybe the living is in that gap. It's like, it feels so confusing. That's where I'm at. It feels so confusing because I want to live and I enjoy living. I do. After everything I feel like I've been through, after all the experiences I've had, after challenges and wins and successes and failures and everything, it's like I want to live. I am grateful every single day to be alive, to be able to experience this confusion, to be able to experience that gap and feel bothered by it, feel like, to question it, to feel scared of it and feel enticed by it, and to feel like it is this not even like a looming figure in my life, but it's in everything. It's in me and it's in you and it's in all of us, and that's part of that like life force, right? But God, do I wish it was a bit more like, I wish it was a bit more clear. I wish certain things in life were a bit more clear. And, to feel like I'm alive by what standard? It's like, it's so goofy when I say it out loud, like you feel goofy about it. At least I feel goofy about it sometimes. Having these questions and like these thoughts and like these wonderings, because at the end of the day, they sort of just answer themselves like right then and there when you're speaking it out loud and doing it. Maybe that's part of the reason why I feel drawn to talking about this stuff, is because you almost answer yourself while you're saying it. But I notice that a lot of the world seems to be in that same place too, of wondering, of feeling almost like that transitional period, feeling that you're almost like, if you've ever been on a train platform and the way they're built, they allow for some movement. You're moving side to side and shaking a bit to offset the weight. That's kind of how this period, I think, in the world and in life feels, in which we're trying to offset a bit of the weight of the world and a bit of the weight of, different tragedies and worries and fears. And it's just so confusing and daunting, because I think everybody wants to be alive. I think everybody wants to experience life in a beautiful, full way. And right now, it almost, I think it almost feels like you're a cocoon, right? You're in this cocoon, and you've been in this cocoon for this long time, and you feel like, oh my God, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm ripe, like a, fruit on a tree. I'm feeling it, and I could just burst out into the world, but it's still kind of not happening yet, and you're still in that gap. You're still in that purgatory, in that waiting room, and I just you can't really predict when the door opens and it's time to leave it, right? Because then you're sort of ejected. That's another thing too. It's like, I say this now, feeling this gap, this bridge between things, almost like between worlds, right? Between lives, between phases in life, between experiences, between maybe friendships, relationships, anything, careers, situations, houses, homes, if you're moving, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, whatever. It just almost feels like being on the brink of something, even almost like being on the brink of life, of new life, of expanded life, of feeling more deeply, feeling more alive, and wanting it. It's like, I know I want it so badly, to feel it fully. And I try every day. I feel like I show up every fucking day to feel it, whatever it is. But then it's funny, because when it comes and it's there, you almost feel like you're not ready, and you're just getting pushed out like a baby bird out of the nest, and your parents are kicking you out, and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? You just feel like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not prepared. I'm supposed to go out into the world and out into life and know what it is to be, what I'm supposed to do. And I think at this point, I don't even care that I don't know what I'm supposed to do once it happens. I think there's a part of me that's just so excited to see what it is to be in this next chapter, in this next part, to kind of be out of that transitional phase, to be out of that wondering, to be out of that bridge and that gap, and to really be I don't know. It's hard. It's hard because I feel like you don't want to feel like you're waiting. You don't want to feel like you're, like, constantly waiting for something else to change or the other foot to drop or a new thing to occur or anything like that. I'm usually not like that, where I feel like I'm waiting for something or someone or things to happen, but I feel like a lot of people in the world are waiting now for something that, they know that's out there for them. That's meant to come, that's meant to start, that's meant to grow, that's meant to shift things, and waiting is hard. Waiting is fucking hard, and feeling like almost like how much longer, that impatience and that wondering and just trying to stay present. And even that presence can feel like nothing. It can feel like you're just in quicksand and stuck in the mud. I think my only hope is that when these things finally come, right? Because I can't say that by tomorrow I'm going to feel like I live life more fully. I'm going to feel like there was a shift or a change. I don't know when those things are going to happen. And I know based on my experiences before and in life, they kind of happen when you least expect it. And they happen over time as you grow, as you learn, and you lean more into it, which is why I think I'm posting this and talking about it, because I'm just trying to lean into it just like everybody else. And allow for things to just go by its motions. I think, like I said, my hope and my goal is that, when all of us get there, that we're ready to face it head on, to feel and to live and to love and to experience that gap in these bridges. This time, this journey, and to have the courage and the bravery to do it, even if we don't feel ready, because, when you're in the bridge, you're in the gap, you swear on your life you're ready, you feel prepared, and then once you get kicked out, you're like, God, I can't believe I ever thought I knew what the fuck I was doing or what was in store or what was going to happen or anything, and I don't know, I hope there's more life to live. I hope there's more fullness, more wholeness for everybody, more love for everyone, more learning, more expansion, more growth, more nuance, more complexity, more of life, and to feel how it fills you up completely and feels just like everything, and instead of feeling constantly like you're bursting, like you're a cocoon trying to split that skin, and that external factor is just that every little day is these bursts of energy coming from you, and you get to thoroughly enjoy them to some degree, even if it's difficult and painful. And it's just like you just know intuitively that you're alive and you're living and you're feeling it. I think a lot of us are on the brink of experiencing life in a deeper way, being part of life in a deeper way, being in each other's lives in a deeper way. And I'm so excited for it. I am. I'm so excited for it. And I wish it was here right now. I suppose it is, in a way. It is here right now. Maybe I'm just ignoring it, not allowing myself to always feel it. But, once it's here, I hope we all choose to live and enjoy.